Hey everybody, it's me, Cyrus. How's it going? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about my all-time favorite platform of video games that exists. That is the Turbografx 16 and PC engine. The Turbografx 16 and PC engine is a very interesting platform for several reasons, but one of which is because it's kind of complicated. If you're interested in the CD games, then there's some things you need to know about how to play those CD games if you want to do so on original hardware. And I know that a lot of people, when they talk about the TurboGrafx 16, they really kind of laser focus in on like the turbo chip games, the Hue card games. And there's some amazing classic titles on turbo chip and Hue card that are out there. Absolutely. Some of the best games for this platform are in that format. But if you really want to get the full experience of the TurboGrafx 16 and PC engine, you have to get involved with the CD stuff. And maybe you choose to do that through emulation, or maybe you choose to do that through like a clone console of some kind, or maybe you choose to do that with original hardware. And if you want to use original hardware, and this might even help you set up some of your emulation stuff if you have to use the system cards in your BIOS settings and stuff like that. So it might be good to know some of this stuff. But let's at least talk about it from a physical point of view as far as using original hardware. So in the United States, when you bought a TurboGrafx 16, you got your TurboGrafx 16 console. And if you bought the CD attachment, which attaches to the back of it like this one, then you got a system card which plugs into the console and looks something like this. This is the original model United States TurboGrafx CD system card. It's a little scratched up, but it works fine. This was actually system card 2.0, because in Japan they got a model that was actually before this, but we didn't get that. We started with 2.0. So this is your regular TurboGrafx CD system card. And this will play a ton of amazing classic CD games, all of the original CD games that were released for the TurboGrafx, and a lot of the later release too, because a lot of them were just regular CD games. So this is important to have because this contains the RAM that you're going to need for your system in order to be able to buffer the discs and play them correctly. It has the operating system for the CD-ROM, and it has, like I said, the RAM and everything that you need in order to play the games. So you need that. But they did release an upgrade in the United States whenever they brought out the Super CD format, and that's the System Card 3.0, which is the Super System Card. And this one will plug straight in, just like the other one, just like that. And with that one, you can play all of the 2 megabit upgraded Super CD games and also the regular release CD games as well. So as far as American release CD games, that card right there gets you everything. That will support every United States released, North American released Super CD game and regular TurboGrafx CD game. And that includes your Gate of Thunder, Lords of Thunder, all of the regular CD games, the full motion games, everything. But these are not the only 2 system cards that were released. Obviously in Japan, there was a whole bunch of other cards that were released. And we're going to talk a little bit about what some of those are. Okay, this is my PC Engine Duo RX. This is a later released Duo. Has some improvements as far as the reliability is concerned for the CD-ROM. It has a little bit more internal memory than the regular PC Engine Duo. It's white, so there's obviously a huge cosmetic difference. This particular model came with the 6-button controller. It's not required. You can actually play every game with a 2-button controller for the PC Engine But there are some games that do take advantage of 6 buttons, and this is going to give you that functionality. Of course, every controller for the Turbografx worth of crap comes with built-in turbo, and that's the same with the PC Engine. So anyway, that's the deal. This has the Super System Card 3.0 built into it. So you don't need any card to play regular PC Engine CD games, 1.0, 2.0, or 3.0. Super System Card, everything is covered in this. Now, later on, whenever they got around to finally releasing Street Fighter 2 for the PC Engine, which, by the way, never came out in the United States, that game was enormous. It took up a lot more memory than was normal. If you actually buy that turbo chip or Hue card, you'll see that it looks a lot different because it's got a lot more going on with it. And that started a conversation about arcade ports to this platform, because up to this point there had been a few, but there was some interest in expanding the capability of what was possible on this system. And the solution that was derived was to come up with a new system card, because people liked the new Street Fighter 2 port. It's really good for the PC Engine, but it had limitations. And the music, which is fine, it could have definitely been a lot better had it been CD music. But they couldn't make the game a CD game because there just wasn't enough RAM in this to be able to pull that off. So they wanted to do some arcade ports of fighting games. Unfortunately, Street Fighter 2 would never be a CD game for the PC Engine, but there were some really cool SNK ones and some other ones that were released. But in order to achieve that, they had to create something that could handle that. They had to create a system card capable of providing enough RAM to be able to achieve what was wanted as far as high quality arcade ports for like Neo Geo games and some other types of games too. So they came out with a new card called the Arcade System Card. Now the arcade card came in 2 different flavors. It came in the Duo version, which is what this one is, and then it came in a Pro version, which was designed in case you didn't have a Duo. So let me show you what this looks like. You can see there's a lot more black space here for what's going on with this card. This has an enormous amount of more memory than what was available in the Super System card. And that was 2 megabit, and this has an additional 16. So that brings you up to 18 megabits, theoretically, if you're wanting to experience the full offering of what's on your PC Engine as far as CD games. Yeah, so the Arcade Pro had that 2 megabit built into it, so it has even more memory than this. But if you have a Duo, this is the one you need. You don't need the other one because you're not going to benefit. Even though the other one does have 2 megabit more memory, you're not going to benefit from that. It's just not utilized if you already have a Duo. Because your Duo has the 2 megabit that it's looking for. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, but this card could really do some amazing stuff. And there are a few games that were released in Japan that require this card. And there's a couple that have some enhancements if you have this card. And like I said, the Duo itself doesn't actually need the Super System card to run. You could just play it without any card in it whatsoever. But for those arcade system card games, you're going to want to put that in there, and then you're good to go, and you can play all those arcade system card games and have a really good time, you know, exploring the full library of what is to offer. Not much of an instruction manual here, pretty simplistic, but there you go. And they do explain it here If you can read Japanese. So yeah, this is your standard Duo. This is your Duo R or Duo RX model, which is what I got. Same thing, basically. And then this is the Super CD attachment in Japan. That Super CD attachment has that 2 megabit built into it as well. So all of these will work with the arcade system card without any enhancement whatsoever. These three can take advantage of this card, the Duo arcade card. The arcade card Pro you're going to want for your regular CD attachment. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, let's take a look at some arcade system card games and see what all the fuss is about. So this is what the operating system load screen looks like for the arcade system card. It looks exactly like the Super System card screen. They didn't bother to change it. I don't know why, but they didn't. So yeah, there's nothing to see there. But I will tell you, it can be a little bit annoying because if you need to, for some reason, clean off the connection for your card, like sometimes you do, it's a good idea to go ahead and get some alcohol and clean off the little connection pins on your system card before you plug it in, just to make sure it gets a really good connection, because you won't be able to tell just by looking at this screen whether or not it's actually connected or not. And I'll show you, for example, if you take the card out, I'm going to take it out right now and just turn on my Duo. That's what it looks like. Okay. That's the standard boot screen for the Super System card, which is built into the Duo. Now I've got a game in here. The game I have in here is called Genga Fukei Desetsu Sapphire. I'm saying that wrong. Sorry. We just call it Sapphire. It's an amazing shoot 'em up, and it requires the arcade system card to play. So if I try to play the game, I'm going to press run here, and I don't have the arcade system card in there, then instead of loading the game, I get this screen right here. And that's just telling you you're not going to be able to play this game, basically, because you don't have the arcade system card. That's not really what it says, but that's basically what the message is. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to plug in the arcade system card, and if it makes a good connection, then we're going to be able to play the game. Otherwise, we'll see that screen. So that is a way for you to be able to tell if it's connecting properly or not. All right, press run. Let's see if it loads. And there we go. So this is Sapphire for the PC Engine arcade system card. This is a game that was released exclusively in Japan. It was developed by CA Productions. It was exclusive that was released by Hudson Soft in 1995. It has an all-female police women cast. So if you are into anime, if you like shoot 'em ups, if you like the PC Engine, then guess what? This is, you know, this is phenomenal. Now, I don't think it's necessarily the best shooter on this platform, but it's definitely the most impressive looking from the graphics standpoint, because this game definitely takes advantage of the extra memory included with the arcade system card and does a bunch of visual effects in the game that really would not have been possible otherwise. So yeah, I'm going to shut up for a minute. We're going to take a look at some of this game and see what's the deal with Sapphire, a game that does require the arcade system card. By the way, this is a 2-player shoot 'em up as well. So if you're looking for a really cool 2-player experience, seriously, this is phenomenal. I'm going to let the demo play because it'll show you a little bit of 2-player action, because I don't really have the ability to do that right now. In order to play 2-player, you will need the duo tap, or if you're playing this on a PC engine, the regular multiplayer tap, in order to take advantage of the 2-player capability, because that'll give you up to 5-player support. But yeah, every regular model PC engine and duo, unfortunately, only has a 1 controller input on its own. You can see Sapphire is doing some graphical stuff on screen that's really memory intensive. A lot of digitized assets, morphing sprites, and pre-rendered 3D polygonal like enemies on the screen that are obviously not being rendered in real time, but still, you know. So there's a lot of memory that's needed for this game. Okay, let's play just a little bit. Not very much, just a little bit. Alright, configure. So there are different difficulties. We'll just set it to normal. We'll do 9 credits. And we'll just play a little. So there's some god-awful, terrible gameplay from me. And that's a little bit of Sapphire. And I think there's an additional stage here that you only get in this version, by the way. I think that's what this is referring to right here. As you can see, Strider is still very serviceable, still a really good game, still a lot of fun, and absolutely does have some enhancement over what the Genesis and arcade version offer, but doesn't quite have the same graphical prowess as those versions. It's just not quite as impressive looking graphically in the standard gameplay as, you know, as the other ones. But I still think it's a great way to play the game, and it's a lot of fun. It's cool to see the differences and just see what they decided to do, what the choices were, and what the arcade system card allowed for with this game. And I've heard it discussed that maybe this is one of the games that really didn't take too much advantage of the arcade system card as far as what was possible or what was offered. But still, it did use the memory, and it is required in order to play this particular version of the game. But let's check out some other arcade system card games. Let's see what else was offered that you could try out, that you could enjoy with this expanded memory. This game is called Mad Stalker. This was originally released on a Japanese computer platform called the X68000, and it has since been released on a few different platforms. It was remade and re-released on the PlayStation later on, but this game actually does require the arcade card to play on the PC Engine, and it's pretty unique. It's a pretty unique game and pretty cool game. If you like mech games, if you like side-scrolling beat-em-up type games and stuff like that, you might like this one. And of course it has some really cool cutscenes as well, so let's take a look at it and see what it's all about.
しかし民間に供与されたものはわずか4体に過ぎない。この事実を中立であるポセイドンの立場から証明していただくだけで結構だと言っているのです。アルテミスが経済、情報、技術とあらゆる面で常任理事国を上回りながら唯一立ち遅れているのが軍備であることは市長もご存知でしょう。ミッシングテクノロジーの再発見がいかに
3 different characters.
This is Hound Dog. 機体に異常なし。計器類も正常に作動している。そっちはどうだ、リチャード。
順調順調、全く問題なしだ。しかしさすがメイドインジャパンだな。スコブル会長、とても中古品とは思えないぜ。
This next game we're going to look at has some pretty cool little effects. You may have just saw part of that right then. It does this like digitization mosaic effect whenever it transitions between images and stuff in this opening. And that's something that you really don't see. There may be one or two games on the PC Engine that do something like that, and this is one of them. This is a wrestling game, and it does require the arcade system card to play. This is it's an interesting game. It's a Japanese wrestling game, and it actually has some wrestlers that are from, you might recognize from American wrestling. This is called Shin Nihon Pro Wrestling 94 Battlefield in Tokyo Dome. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to remember. It's a lot to say. Some of the wrestlers that you see here that you might recognize from American wrestling are using a little bit different name. See that? That's that mosaic effect I was telling you about. For instance, I know the Road Warriors are in this game. If you remember the Road Warriors from back in the 80s. But they're using a little bit different name here, and this is whatever name they used for this league in Japan whenever it was getting started. And the Steiner brothers are in this as well. I noticed them. I didn't immediately recognize anyone else, but you might have a better eye for that than I do. I haven't really been into wrestling since I was a kid, but I know a lot of people follow this a lot more closely. So, anyway, pretty cool little opening sequence. The announcer in this game is the actual announcer from that wrestling league as well. So, this isn't some fictitious wrestling league. This was actually, you know, a real thing in Japan. This is a late release arcade system card game. It was released obviously in '94, November. Actually, it was almost 1995 when this thing came out. And that's very late for a PC Engine game at all. And it did require the arcade card, so I'm just gonna let this play for a second just so you can kind of take a look at these different you know, different characters that are in this game. Pretty cool effect, isn't it? Tiger Mask. Wonder why he's named Tiger Mask. The L Samurai. That's funny. Do you recognize that guy? Here we go. Here's the Road Warriors. They go by the Hellraisers. Power Warriors. Hercules Fernandez. And there we go. Scott Steiner. There we go. Now, Art of Fighting is a tremendously awesome Neo Geo game. There were several different ports of this game for various different 16-bit consoles, including the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. But none of those ports that are available on other platforms, not even, I think there might be a Sega CD version as well, none of those can even come close to this. And this is really astounding. All of these Neo Geo games that I'm going to be showing you that are available for the arcade system card on the Turbografx are amazing recreations of the Neo Geo games. They're not...
Round one.
So you can see how they handle the zoom in and out effect here. It is handled a little bit differently.
Round two. Fight.
Yeah, I am not even doing anything in this game.
Round one. Fight.
Get out of my way, kid.
Believe it or not, there are actually 2 Fatal Fury games available for the arcade system card for PC Engine. Yeah. And this is the first one, which is actually Fatal Fury 2. The first Fatal Fury is not available. But I think you get plenty of really great action between these 2 different games. Let's play a little bit of Fatal Fury here. Again, there are some graphical compromises here from the Neo Geo games, but I think overall it's pretty amazing.
Joe versus Harry. Round one. Fight.
Notice there's no scaling. There's no, you know, the PC Engine doesn't have hardware scaling available. So there's no scaling, but they do a pretty good job of creating an effect. It looks pretty good.
Okay.
Fatal Fury Special is an upgrade over Fatal Fury 2. And I think it's an even better port. So let's take a look at some of this game. See what it has to offer. Obviously, you do have different options and things, which I didn't really show before, but it's quite a bit actually you can configure here. 6-button support. Load times are not bad at all.
Round one. Fight. Hey, hey, hey! Round two. Fight.
World Heroes 2 also appears for the arcade system card, and this is another spectacular conversion of a really awesome Neo Geo arcade game.
World Heroes 2.
Round two. Fight. Round three. Fight. Round two. Fight.
I never said I was good at it. There are a number of games that require the arcade system card, and then there are also some other games that just have enhancements. The other games that require the arcade system card would be Fire Pro Female Wrestling, Jongshin Detsutsu, probably saying that wrong, Far East of Eden, Kabuki, Itarudin, yeah, Mado, Monteragi. I don't really know how to say that one. Sorry about that. As far as like enhanced games, there's this game here, which is Vasteel 2. I love the original Vasteel. It's a regular CD game that was released in the United States. It doesn't even need the Super CD. It just needs a regular CD system card. But Vasteel 2 never made it to the United States. And if you play this using the arcade system card, it is enhanced, and I believe it just has some quicker load times and some slightly enhanced graphics and sound in the cinematics. And I think that's about it. And that's going to be the case for pretty much all of the enhancements you see in the games that support it. Like 3x3 eyes or 3x3 eyes, Atlas, the Renaissance Voyager, Brandish, Elkenwa, Kamini, Formation Soccer 95, Gulliver Boy, J-League Tremendous Soccer 94, Linda Cube, Mahong Sword Princess Quest Gaiden, Popful Mail, and Princess Maker 2, Private Idol, Sexy Idol Mahong Fashion Gatiri. I don't know how to say that. Sutsugyo 2 Neo Generation, Super Real Mahong P2 and 3 Custom, Super Real Mahong P5 Custom, Tanjo Debut, and Wrestling Angels Double Impact. And that's about it. And like I said, pretty much all of those, the enhancements are pretty much delegated to just some slightly better load times, a little bit better animation, maybe some extra sound effects. I know that there's a couple of games that have a little bit higher fidelity animations in the cutscenes because of the arcade system card being present. You don't have to have it, but it does give some enhancement. But for everything else on the console, whether it be Super CD games, regular CD games, or whatever, you're not going to get any enhancement. Just because you have all this extra RAM, it doesn't mean it's going to be used for anything. So, unfortunately, that list is fairly short when you look at the overall size of the library for the CD games for this console. Anyway, that's the arcade system card. It's definitely worth it if you want to play some of the best CD games that are on this system, especially if you're into those arcade ports and you want to play awesome shooters like Sapphire. Then it's definitely worth it for that. But it's not required because obviously the rest of the library, you don't need it. You do need the Super System card though, or a Duo, or the ability to play those CD-ROM, those Super CD games. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say. This is a system that I love. It is quirky, it is weird, but worth looking into, and it might be of interest to you. You might find this strangeness fascinating like I do. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to see any footage of any of these games, or if you have any questions about the arcade card or any of this stuff. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.